Hello everybody, thank you all for coming for the Village of Webberville Council meeting. I'm holding this special meeting for our project we have going on down here at Apple Lane. And it is 6:02 p.m., October 30th, 2023. Roll call please.
Schulte.
Here.
Schoenberg. Here. Stanfield. Here. Walter. Here. Hitchcock.
Here. We have a quorum. Okay, now
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Opposite, not? Okay. Public comment. This is to do with our, anybody here wants to speak about what we got going on with Apple Lane? We know what you got. You know, don't you think we should do it your way first, and then if they have questions, we'll go back to them? Because we all know what's going on.
Sure, I mean,
Is everybody okay with that, with like him explaining everything and we'll questions back? Okay, Alan Boyer is our engineer, he's been here all the time that I've been here for the last 11 years, so he is in charge, he's the LSNG group, and that's PA group? No, yes, PA group.
right. So he works for the village then? Or?
He has always been our engineer for the village. So engineering, he helped us with the road on Main Street. So he's the one that helps us design and make sure things work right. Underground and over. So you just get like an engineer. It's like we got plan rain and we got.
Engineer firm, right.
Yep.
So as Brad mentioned, I'm Alan Boyer, I'm with PEA Group, and I've been helping the village with their engineering issues since about 1996, I think, so, for a while. I took a little time before the meeting in preparation for this to watch the Facebook recording of the village meeting last time, and took lots of notes and basically summarized the notes into what I thought were 5 main either complaints or comments regarding the Apple Lane project. And so what I did is I put together a little memo here for the village council so it can go into the record. And I just want to run through it quick and address essentially my response to the complaints and explain a few things so that we can clear up any misinformation about the project or the village's system or that kind of thing. And then, we can open it up to public comment. Also, for the village, for the council's benefit, the Apple Lane project has included in it a couple of different change orders, and I provided copies of the change orders here that we can talk about after the fact, because obviously to address some issues that have already been talked about, and specifically this idea about the water services on Apple Lane is going to require a change to the project contract. And if we can get the contract, approval changed this evening, Bruce, who is with me, Bruce Wallace from my office, has Jason on speed dial so that if the change order is, meets with the approval of the village council and it's approved, we'll let Jason know so that literally tomorrow morning he can come in and start the water service replacements. So, I preface my comments letting you know that the intent is that if there is to be a decision made, it should be made tonight so we can get this going. One of the first complaints that I noted in the video was, is there a mandate for what the village is doing now, namely the water main work on Apple Lane? And to answer it specifically, there's no mandate. However, all villages, municipalities, cities, they're all overseen, particularly their water systems, by EGLE, which is Michigan's Department of Environmental Quality. And they permit all of the water main construction. They oversee that to ensure the fact that there's safe drinking water and that there are appropriate fire flows. Because a big component of this is making sure that there is the appropriate fire flow throughout the village, because it affects both the village's insurance rating, and of course that is reflected by in your home appraisals and that kind of thing. The village does go through periodic testing for water quality. There's capital improvement planning, there's water quality assessments. Those are generally done on about a 10-year basis. And the result of all of that is that, certain substandard issues that are found, fire flows, water main sizes, age of the system, that kind of stuff, is all periodically reviewed and then addressed, so that, like any system, you've got to be able to maintain it and keep it up. And so, to answer the question, is there a mandate? No, but the replacement of the Apple Lane water main has been on the list of things that should be done since I started here as an engineer back in '96. So, we've known for a long time that it needed help. Why was the water main not extended to Pardee Road along the drain easement? Mainly because the drain easement is a drain easement. It's an exclusive easement for drainage. Any additional easement that would need to be maintained for a water main would have to be negotiated from, by the landowners with the village for the purpose of putting a water main in, not just drainage. We can't use the same easement. That, however, Brad.
So we can't use their easement, but there's a possibility to go to them same people in that same area.
Exactly.
And go alongside of where the Hingham County
Right.
Drain Commission, but we could get all of them to sign, there'd be another second easement, but we could do that if we had the approval.
Connection of the Apple Lane water main out to Pardee Road has also been on the list of things to do since I've been here from '96. It simply makes sense. Dead-end water mains can be problematic, as you probably all recognize. Although with this project, we looked at the possibility of doing it. We looked at attempting to get an easement out to Pardee Road. We even looked at the possibility of going slightly north and then looping back between houses to Main Street. It would make sense to go out to Pardee Road because that's likely an alignment for a continuation of Apple Lane out to Pardee Road if somebody chose to develop the property. However, there's no intent to develop the property. There's no intent to run the street out there. There's no intent to run sanitary sewer out there. And simply by connecting the water main out there, there's no additional services that would be added to it. So it didn't seem that the cost was that beneficial to nearly double the size and scope and amount of the project to get the water main out there. Now that doesn't mean it can't be done in the future. We've set this water main up so that it can be extended to Pardee Road at some point in the future. And so it's still on the list, it still makes sense, but we have to be able to pay for it. Third complaint or comment that I noted was, why was a complete water service from corporation stop to curb stop not replaced? That was just a decision that was made based on partially economics and partially on the fact that the services are out there, are copper, as you can note from the pipe that's laying over there, and they are in reasonably good shape. And we simply made the decision that we weren't going to tear up the entire road to replace the whole water service up to the curb stop. Now, when Main Street was done, we did do that, but that's because we were tearing up the whole road, and in fact, the original plan on Main Street was to also replace the sanitary sewer. In the original plans that we put out to bid, not only was the water main replaced and the storm drain replaced and the pavement replaced, we also were going to replace the sanitary sewer. There was a closed circuit TV inspection done of the sanitary sewer that identified at the time that it was not necessary to replace that. And so we pulled that out of the project, rebid it, and since we had everything torn up from sidewalk to sidewalk, we did replace the water services from the water main up to the curb stops and replace those curb stops. In this case, I mean, what we did is not wrong, it's just a different way of doing it, that we connected the new services to the existing services. Fourth comment that I noted was the pressure in the house was not improved or increased. And so I have to spend a little time talking about this because I think there was a bit of a misconception about what we were going to be doing or what we were trying to accomplish. And I'm going to simply read this. The purpose of the project was not to increase pressure in the houses, okay, except during extreme flow events. And I think if all the water's turned off and we went out there right now and we measured the pressure in the house, we would find that it's the same everywhere. Water pressure exists in two forms, static and residual. Static pressure is the pressure when the system is at rest. So if nobody has their water turned on and we measure the pressure, we're going to measure, I don't know, Brad mentioned earlier, 62 pounds per square inch, okay?
Right, Shane, we got about 62.
And static pressure is fixed based on the water level in the elevated storage tank out in the business park. That's what maintains the pressure in the village system. And since this project did nothing to raise or lower the water tank, that pressure is still the same as it was before we did the construction. The other form of pressure that we pay attention to is residual pressure. And that's the pressure at various locations when water is flowing. So when the taps are turned on, that's the pressure in the system when water is moving through the system. With the most extreme case being under fire flow conditions. So in this particular case, there had been a 4-inch water main on Apple Lane. And of course, you all know that when the water was turned on, there was a drop in pressure because water was flowing. It was a constricted main. There are also constricted pipes in each of the houses out there. We'll talk about that in a minute. And so as a result, you saw a drop in pressure, okay? And if there had been a fire, let's say at the end of Apple Lane at Juttonen's house, there would have been no water to provide fire flow through those hydrants to fight the fire, okay? Obviously, replacing the water main with an 8-inch pipe makes it possible when the taps are on and there is a fire that the 8-inch pipe has less of a pressure drop, and so the residual pressure is higher and it can deliver more water in a fire flow. And so we have to pay critical attention to fire flow in addition to the fact that, you know, we want to maintain a certain residual pressure in the homes just for the safety of water, safety of drinking. So residual pressure at the various locations when the water is flowing, with the most extreme case being fire flow. Increasing the pipe size from 4-inch to 8-inch was to increase the residual pressure, especially during a fire flow event. Fire flow requires greater flows at a higher residual pressure. With the 8-inch pipe in place, more flows can occur at the same time with less pressure drop. Residual pressure in houses will still be affected by the occluded or partially plugged services and in-house plumbing. So if the plumbing in the houses is plugged up, the residual pressure will still be lower in the house. So yes, we did replace the 8-inch pipe, and if we measured the pressure in the 8-inch pipe, residual pressure in the 8-inch pipe when the hydrant at the end in front of Jutman's is flowing full blast, there is going to be much more pressure in this pipe today than there was in the 4-inch. So that is in part the pressure that we were trying to improve. And then finally, there was a statement made that the water quality has not improved. Construction generally disturbs the pipes and sediments in the pipes. Initially, water quality appears less, particularly after construction or when any kind of disturbance occurs in the system, including when the village flushes the fire hydrants. You start pushing a lot of water through there, you tend to stir things up, and that does affect the appearance of the water. It doesn't make it gets cloudier, it may get rustier because you're moving sediments through the pipe. It doesn't make the water unclean or unfit to drink. You know, it still passes all the biological tests and that kind of thing. Running water will usually flush the line and water will clear up in a short time. This is why the village periodically flushes hydrants. Keep in mind though, and this is really important, I think, to pay attention to, and this is important, I think, for village council to understand too. And before I say that, let me explain. You know, we've been looking for a long time at the need to replace the village water system, particularly in the environs of the village, not out in the business park, because that's relatively new. But the village water system was constructed in 1957. And so it is, you know, approaching 70 years old. And it was, at the time that it was constructed, it was the appropriate kind of a system. But there are 4-inch water mains and 6-inch water mains and 8-inch water mains in the village with old style pipes, cast iron or some version of cast iron, ductile iron. And of course, you know, the village is on a well system and doesn't really have a very sophisticated treatment system for the water. It's not like the city of Lansing or some of the other places, even Williamston, who has a more sophisticated treatment system. So we've been looking for a long time at the need to go in and replace the water system in the village. Shane keeps it going by placing repair clamps on all the breaks. There's issues with hot soils here in the sense that there's an electrical corrosion that occurs in the piping, and that's why the pipe's getting brittle and breaking. And so, you know, the nearest ballpark we can come up with right now is it's probably going to cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 million to replace the village water system. It is basically at the end of its life, and it needs to be replaced. In addition to the fact that the treatment system that the village has, because of the iron in the water and other issues, is pretty archaic. It functions, it provides safe drinking water, it provides water to the water tank to fight fires, but it's old and it needs to be replaced in addition to the distribution system that conveys the water out. At this point, just the distribution system would likely cost somewhere in the neighborhood of about $8 million. And to be able to pay for that, obviously, is a challenge. And so we've been looking at, for a number of years, looking at ways to do that. And in addition to doing that, when the opportunity presents itself, we are replacing sections of pipe. But until such time as the distribution system is replaced in its entirety, and until such time as the treatment system is replaced in its entirety, the water quality that comes through the system to individual homes is the same everywhere in the village. And so that water quality, if you replace the services in your house in the next year, those services will likely look very similar to the ones that are out there today like that. Because all of that is scattered throughout the village system, and the water treatment system is no different. It's still providing the same water through those services as comes today. So, I simply note that to keep in mind that the entire village water treatment and distribution systems were not replaced by this project. Until they are, the water quality in the village system is the water quality in the homes. If new services are installed, until the village water treatment is updated and improved, it will only be a matter of time until the new services will become occluded or plugged up, just like they are today. Now, I know that's not very encouraging, but the whole process here is that until we have a chunk of money to replace everything, we gotta do it in pieces. And so, I know that there was some information expressed in the meeting about people who were willing to replace their own water service from the curb stop to the house. That's great. I mean, that will certainly help improve it. If your internal house plumbing is plugged up, the same as the services are, that will reduce the pressure in the house, the residual pressure when the water's running. But what we did do, based on the comments that were made at the village council meeting, we did go to the contractor, Jason Sebastian, and ask him for a price to go back and replace the 12 water services on the new water main, from the water main to the curb stop, including the curb stop. So these would be 12 new water services, including a replacement of the one at 408, which was just replaced with copper. He gave us a price of...
No, it was 400.
400. Okay, then I have that wrong in my memo, because I noted it was 408, so it was a 400, okay.
So ours got replaced?
Yeah,
All the way to the curb stop? I had no idea.
yeah. We had to move your curb stop back because of the depth of the water main. It was to put the tap in the right spot and to get it to hook up. We had to move it back farther so it wasn't such a significant bend.
Move back, you mean towards the main more?
Towards the house.
Towards the house?
Yeah. So we put a new chunk of copper in there and we took your curb stop off and cleaned it out, your curb stop off and cleaned it out at Gordon's faucet. So it's clean all the way from the main to the curb stop.
So, just so you know, we talked to Jason Sebastian, and as I noted earlier, Jason is prepared to go out and replace all 12 services starting tomorrow morning if it's acceptable to the village council, so that everyone's service will be replaced from the main to the curb stop, including the curb stop. Jason has the materials available. He has explained to us that the increased cost would be $36,480. His intent would be, if he starts first thing in the morning, to get it done quickly enough to still be able to pave this fall. Now, that's his goal. We know that the weather can be iffy this time of year. It's likely that the paving plants, because they typically do, close on the opening of deer season, which is November 15th, 2 weeks away. And there's a lot to do, but that's his goal. He feels he can replace the services and get the paving done before the paving plants close. So, Sam.
Do we have a rough idea of when the current service lines were installed? About how old are they?
Do you know?
I think that it was in the mid-70s. I'm not sure when that sub went
My
up.
house was built in 78.
So,
Sam, some of it looks, I've seen it.
and I guess the reason why I ask is I think your point is valid, Alan, in that until the rest of the system that feeds the houses is improved, it's not gonna get better, but in terms of those services being constricted, in theory, it would take another 30, 40 years for them to look like that. I mean, it may be sooner than that, but.
Sure,
Yeah.
you're right.
I
Yeah,
mean, hopefully in that next 30 to 40 years, everything would be improved
Replaced.
and replaced, so
it's a lot
that,
sooner than that.
yeah, hopefully it's a lot sooner than that, but
I'm not sure the water system would last that long, so,
no, it won't.
yeah.
So where Guy Jutton is, and you, like you said, fire, if that was connected to Pardee Road, and then what you call it, the residual flow of water, and then it would all pull off from Main Street, trying to go down into Abilene, and also pull from Pardee, if you pull from that hydrant, so that would keep the flow, they'd have more flowing of water continuous, because if they all shut their water off, that just stops, and it's in that 8-inch pipe waiting for somebody to use it in their Abilene.
Right, yeah, so, you know, in a water system, there's a variety of things that you're attempting to do. I mean, obviously, you're trying to provide safe drinking water to people. You're trying to provide fire flow protection in the event that there's a fire. The more loops that you can create, the fewer pressure, the lower the pressure losses are, and the more redundancy you have in getting water to any point, because it's like a road network. The more paths you can take, the easier it is to get somewhere if something closes down. So, I mean, ideally, you don't want dead-end lines for that very reason. You want to be able to keep as many loops open as possible, because that makes the system just operate more efficiently. So, yes.
So would his plan be to replace them with copper pipe or a plastic pipe?
I think it's plastic, right? Because that's the standard right now. I don't know. I didn't ask Jason, but
I would assume, I'm not exactly sure, because they had the roll of copper out there, and I asked them if they had any plastic, and I said, you know, you can use plastic, because it's easier to work with than what copper is.
Well, my understanding is that this iron oxide algae, whatever the technical name is for this red stuff, that has an affinity for copper and not for plastic, and that's why my plan is to replace all our internal stuff, except in the walls, with PEX, because it doesn't stick to it. When they dug Johnson's up, when they had a leak this summer, you know, when that guy cut the plastic pipe, there was nothing inside of it. I don't know how long that plastic's been in the ground, since what, 79? There was nothing, I mean, it's a thin, you know, just a smear on the inside, but not like mine. I mean, I got less than a half-inch hole in mine. In the 1-inch pipe. And my 3/4-inch pipe inside that I cut out of the house is about the size of a pencil. It's about a little bigger, it's about a 3/8 hole through that. But my plan is to replace the entire house with PEX because it doesn't stick to the plastic. So if he's gonna replace it with plastic, it'll probably go much longer than.
well, we'll confirm that. I mean, you know, the village allows both copper and plastic, but I know Shane prefers the plastic. And we did it on Main Street, correct? Yeah. So it's easier to work with. I'm sorry, Betty, I didn't even recognize you. It's been so long, and I don't see you in the library.
But I do believe that they put in copper. I watched them when they were doing mine in Appalachia.
Yes.
They had a new piece of copper come up.
Yeah.
Shane was there too, but I think they're using copper there.
Yeah, they were.
Now,
Now, if they go through and do it again, I think it's gonna be plastic.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's something we'll have to confirm with Jason in the morning or tonight when we talk to him, so.
You know, the other thing is we took the water tower and we tuned it up. It needed a big tune-up. We did that like 4 years ago. See how fast it was. And I went home on the color, which is gold out blue.
Yeah.
That was Shane and I's deal. We went home with little things. But anyway, so the inside got completely epoxy coated, smooth, very slippery. Looks like a swimming pool. And then we were told we were gonna do 2 propellers, there's only 1, correct?
Yeah, there's a mixer in there now.
So there's a mixer in there, so it's always moving. So before you had 12 to 18 inches of Louisiana swamp water on top that just kind of went up and went down and went up, because it never got used. It wasn't very pretty when you watched it at the very top. Now, it looks like a swimming pool up there. So what it did is it kept that all moving so it comes through and it doesn't hang up inside.
Why did they go to Louisiana to get that water?
Yeah.
Clear water, period.
I'm not wrong in what I said, correct?
Right, no, right.
Because when we, and we took out 6,000 pounds. It was like 2 pickup loads that laid right there, it was piled right up orange out of there. And the last time they cleaned it, I didn't see, 2 wheelbarrows?
Yeah, it's getting better all the time.
But what happened is they come to you guys. And then years ago, these old timers, they put cast iron pipe in the ground, because if you look at it, it looks like little tonsils, because the cast iron will attract the iron, and it looks like little tonsils, tonsils inside that pipe. And then when them guys flush it, they blow the tonsils out, and out it comes. So it's supposed to contract the iron before it gets to your home. So when we change all these to that plastic, we have to get a plant, because you'll get everything out of the water, and as clean as we get, and there, it'll go right straight to your house. There'll be no helping from the pipes that they had decades ago, the old timers had figured out where the cast iron could.
When did you revamp that water tower?
When did we do that? About 4. When we epoxied everything, about 4 or 5 years ago.
I thought when the quality of my water went to crap, yeah.
We like the better when you were keeping it.
Yeah. I guess
We were just trying to make it all better, I mean, we got a contract with them, so, go ahead, Josh Rocky.
Oh, I just, when you're talking about the plastic, it says that the, change order says water source needs to be DR9 HDPE.
Yeah,
Isn't that plastic?
Yeah.
It's the blue plastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a text from Jason Sebastian, he said it'd be plastic. The pipes we put in already were spliced with new copper per the plans,
Yeah, okay.
but he said he'd do plastic.
And then if it goes in as plastic, which apparently has been confirmed, then they'll put a tracer wire with it so they can track it. That way they know what it is.
And I don't know if you guys got basements or no basements, but if you somehow, once that gets done again, we need to go to the basement, and like, I have a spigot in my basement where I can turn it on, it goes to my sub pump before I take it through my home. I don't know if that would be what you'd want to do for a little bit to get it through that line. And at that point, if you want assistance by myself or Shane, tell me, we could do that without having the meter spinning to make sure we run it for 30 minutes or whatever to try to help that system for you guys.
So what I provided you, the village council with, were 2 change orders that Bruce put together. The one change order is stuff that we had already talked about based on direction from the council regarding a couple of changes that we were making to the contract. The big one being getting Main Street paved from Beach Street up to Pardee Road, at least with, a couple of inches of asphalt to make it travelable until probably 2025 when we get funding through MDOT to rebuild the rest of Main Street. That's change order number 1, and some work with mailboxes on Main Street that we're working with the postmaster on. Change order number 2 is specific to these 12 services for the houses on Apple Lane and Pine Street. These are, as was noted by Josh, water service leads to be DR9 HDPE, which is a plastic pipe. And Jason has given us a price of $36,480 that would be an increase to the contract to do this. And like I said, his goal is to start first thing in the morning and try to get the paving done yet this year in the next 2 weeks. So, if it is the pleasure of the village council, we can give him direction by your action tonight to approve the change orders.
Any more residents have any ideas? So I'm gonna approach the council, all of us are here because we can vote on it, see if we can spend just short of $40,000 to get all set up, but you still have your line in your yard going to your home. There'll still be that little piece there. So,
I just have a question because I don't have a valve down there.
At your home.
Either, but I do have an outside bib,
like, why
12 feet away, that's what we typically open first.
That'd be close enough.
Is it legal for me to put anything in before the meter? That I can put a hose, I'll put a hose spigot valve in there so that, it's
You can't have anything before the meter. We can do it after the meter, but like I said, we can, we can help with this whole system. If we do this, just because we're spending this time with you guys, we'll turn around and the water that we flush, we can flush each person, what, 30 minutes be enough? Then we won't charge the meter, we do something.
No,
just to-
the one I've got is past, it's the other side of the meter, I was just wondering if I can put one right down, because it's in the scoopy
Yeah, right.
box there.
Well, I just wanted to mention that I wasn't gonna charge you for, for 2,000 gallons that went around on the ground just to try to flush your system, so I was trying to get at that way, but I know what you're trying to say now, but, as long as you have some way of doing it before it gets into your home,
Yep.
I think that would be helpful.
Yep.
Has everybody got one of them, you think?
My meter's in my house, so.
Right, your meter's in the house, but do you have any way to do a spigot run out, or does it gotta go through your home? It's gotta go through one of your
Yeah,
kitchen sink?
yeah, I gotta go through the whole house.
Okay.
So something that I did, and this is just, it was my own take on it, my own opinion, is I installed a reusable spin down filter right after my meter, so it's spliced right into the lines and it's got some sort of fine stainless steel mesh that catches the sediment, and occasionally when I'm down there, I just crack it open, drain it into a 5-gallon bucket, and then toss it. Obviously, 5-gallon bucket is not gonna do much when you're talking about the volumes we are, but it has a little nipple on it that you could put a hose on and run it outside, and I think those spin downs are usually less than $100. They're relatively affordable, and they're reusable, which is nice, so.
Does anybody have a water softener?
I do.
How do you want?
Does everybody have one, or somebody doesn't have one?
Water discouraged?
Does anybody have, one, any of you don't have one?
Oh, I don't know.
We don't have any water stuff.
You don't have one, okay. I do have one, and then,
It doesn't seem to help that much.
No, I did, but the water plugged it up and
yeah,
I wasn't gonna put in another.
I got you. Go ahead, John, Guy John.
That 12 homes that bid for 36,000 for 12, if Mike's is already done, that would be 11, is that correct, or am I incorrect?
Except his is not plastic, it's copper.
So we're gonna do it again.
So they're gonna be-
And his curb stop was not replaced, which this would include replacing the curb stop.
Yes, Patty?
If the paving doesn't happen before November 14th, is there some kind of product that could be put down as a temporary measure for the winter?
When I talked to Jason, he said he could throw some blacktop on.
Yeah, the asphalt millings, he would have to do some probably grading and preparation. We could put the asphalt millings down and roll it, and that would be reasonably stable throughout the winter. Might have to be touched up a little bit, but, yeah,
Plowing's gonna be a little iffy, so.
yeah, that's plan D.
C.
Plan A is get it done.
I think we can get this baby done, and then we figure it out, and it looks like the weather's gonna give us a couple weeks, even though it's gonna be cold, it's not gonna be rain.
If for some reason the paving didn't get done yet this year, there's gonna be another change order, because I'll guarantee you the paving prices aren't gonna be held next May. So the goal is to get this going and get it done. Yeah.
Can I ask what the budget was on this project from Beach into Apple Lane, what was the total cost of that project?
From beach to, for the water main project? The original contract price was $254,563.52. That's what the contractor bid.
So that's about $20,000, somewhere in there, right? Somewhere in there, ballpark.
Yeah.
20.
Yeah, that's about right.
Then that was all village funded, pretty much. I'm just curious, is you guys keep saying that Main Street was MDOT funded, which I'm trying to figure out how that was MDOT funded, because that's not MDOT road.
Right, so, let me explain a little bit here. MDOT has a local agency program, which the village.
What we can do for you guys before we vote on this with the council, yes.
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say that our experience with the people who are working on the road have been very helpful, making sure that we've got information about the driveways are going to be blocked. They've just been very, very pleasant to work with. If we need to go somewhere, they will stop what they're doing, move the tractor out of the way. It's just been a pleasure that way. I just want to
All right, thank
let
you.
you guys know.
We will pass it on to the contractor.
Yes, because we really, they've been very pleasant.
Wait, what?
Perhaps I misunderstood. Does this put the CAT project of the rest of Main Street from Beach to Party on hold for this year?
No.
Or will that continue?
The idea is that if he's gonna get the paving done, he's gonna get it all done.
Okay.
We're gonna push everybody, right?
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be pushed off again until next
As long
year.
as that asphalt place is open, I'll be out there with little blowtorches, warming up the line. Yes, sir.
And while we got a lot of the residents here, I don't know, some of them were here at the last meeting, are we still gonna block that road off for Halloween?
I wrote it on the board down the DPW garage, you're gonna drop off 2 or 3 sandwich boards down there. Which are just the small barricades.
Yeah.
We can barricade it off before we go home, and then if you guys need to get out or something, just move them and put them back.
It was discussed that we were gonna stop traffic from going down that road on Halloween. I don't know if it hinders you guys passing out candy if you are, but we thought a lot of traffic would get stuck trying to turn around and
Better than pushing somebody else's money.
let them walk down there with foot traffic instead of trying to drive.
It's not a bad idea, especially if we accelerate tomorrow, and it sounds like that'd be a big push. You might run right up till dark. Jason will. That's up to you guys. We'll put them there, and if you guys all want to exercise that as a community for your road there, you follow up on that.
On this change order number 1, which is for putting the pavement cap on Main Street up to Party, the change order is $73,000. Is that what we budgeted for? Is that in addition to what we budgeted for?
Where it said increased by 73,823 on change order.
I think the original estimate was more than that.
It was 133.
Was it?
But that was including this, right?
It was basically a mill and fill. I think they even planned on just doing an 1.5 inch, but I think this is 2 inch, and it's almost half the price.
Yeah.
What
So even though it's a change order, it's still less than
Less
what
than
we
our
were thinking.
original quote.
Perfect, what I thought.
So
I was knowing what you were thinking, but I couldn't quite answer.
Yeah, they're gonna mill off 2 inches and put a 2-inch cap. The price that was 133, or I was thinking 138, but it was in that ballpark, was actually to grind up everything down to about 6 inches and put an 1.5 inches on it, which is a much different project,
So we don't
so,
want to do that.
yeah.
Okay. What you got over there, guy? What you guys got? What you got?
I was just asking Don how his water pressure is.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm just saying, for the record, that I feel at 510 Apple Lane, at the end of Apple Lane, that we have sufficient water pressure. I think it's better than it was. At some time, we put on an outside faucet. I didn't do that, really, put on 2 faucets and stuff. When I took a shower the other day, I got really good pressure.
Increases the capacity of the system, like you said, for high usage events, but my point is with changing out the service lines is assuming that's the biggest constriction going from the main to the house and then the household pipes, the total flow capacity available to each home should increase, because generally when we talk about, I'm in the shower, somebody flushes a toilet, it's an increase in flow that is required, not pressure. It's just
Yes.
that most people talk in terms of pressure, including myself.
It's an increase of flow with less of a pressure drop.
Yes.
So the pressure appears to be higher.
Right.
Yes.
So if I was going home tonight, fill up a 5-gallon bucket, what,
So
Gets
it's
in there.
between an ortho and a polyphosphate.
So when that happens, that's at the well 1 and 2, that the well comes out, like over by the church, and then we got one over by where, Skip Horton lives. Everybody knows where Skip Horton lives, right?
No.
No? The end of
Maple and Monroe.
Maple and Monroe. So there's a pump over there, just one, and then there's 2 over here. There's two there, and 1 over there. So that's where your 3 sources come when somebody pulls, like Anderson's or all these pulls a bunch of water. These 3 start firing right up, and then they take off, head right for your water tower. So what he's mentioning with these 55-gallon drums at this time is what we got told yet, I forget.
We got 30-gallon drums of the chlorine, and then we have the phosphates are granular that comes in bags.
Yeah, so then that gets put in when our well pushes it to the water tower. So that's why our water tower looks like a swimming pool, and then we're trying to push it towards you guys. So long story short of that, I'm trying to tell you is that once we get this flowing and get it into your home and get less restriction when it gets to your home, like a faucet in the basement or somewhere where you feel like you got it comes into your home and it can flow out, and it can run 1,000 gallons or 30 minutes, where that stuff can get flowed out. We do have things in the water that will continue to make that flow better. It's not like it's gonna keep clogging it up, it should make it better. That's the idea that I know of. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that's true. That's why we put it in there.
I mean, that's the point of all of the asset management plans and studies and tests is.
Now, when I first got here, I remembered I heard that we put fluoride in. No fluoride? Like,
We never, we opted out of that. That was like back in the, late 70s.
yeah.
But they have
Sometimes they
fluoride.
put fluoride in the water.
There's natural fluoride in the water.
So, there you go.
So I would like to make a motion, but I'd like to do these separately, so I'll make a motion to approve change order number 1 as presented. Which is,
Order number 1, that's our main street.
which is to mill and replace 2 inches of asphalt pavement on Main Street between Beach Street and Hardy Road.
Yep.
To eliminate any confusion.
So we got him with a motion, we need a second.
Second.
Second by Ron, any discussion? This is the one where we're gonna, before snow sticks to our pavement, we're gonna try to get blacktop from there to Hardy Road. Seeing none, roll call please.
Yes.
Schoenberg. Yes. Stanfield.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Now, before we do the change order number 1, what do you think? I'm gonna go with you, Sam. I would say not exceed 40, and goes to 36,840, just so we didn't have I don't know what he's gonna run into. We can hold it to it, or we could make it round the number, I don't know.
That's the price.
That's the price.
Yeah, I would
There you go.
say that's the price.
There you go. Thank you, Alan. Sam? Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve change order number 2 to install 12 new 1-inch service leads from the new main, from the existing corporation stop to the service valve.
Second.
Second by Sandra. Any other discussion? Any discussion from anybody in here before we vote on this? Anybody? Anybody have any extra questions what we're doing? Yes, Scott?
What was the motion again?
To approve the change order to install the new service lines from the new water main to the homes.
Yep. It'll be installed right up to right where you want it from your lawn to go to your house. That's your deal. But we're gonna have everything brand new, shut off
Per this
valve.
change order, which specifically says plastic pipe. So,
Okay? All right. And that's not the exceed. You just got this one, all right?
as presented.
Everything, roll call please.
Schulte.
Yes.
Schoenberg. Yes. Stanfield.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Hitchcock.
Yes. Make that speed call.
Okay, we'll do that. I have 3 copies of each of the change orders.
Which one you need signed?
We need all 3 of them signed, and then we will get the contractor to countersign them. And so
Where they at?
Bruce has got them.
Good, right here.
We will call Jason and pull the trigger.
I will make a motion to adjourn at 6:57.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say aye. We are closed at
6:57.
7. Thank you very much.